Hi, welcome to lesson number 2 of module 3. This lesson is entitled Don't Just Do Something, Be There. And you'll get what that means in a little while. So it's lucky for us that our mind can conceptualize the past and the future. It's a hugely useful ability. It allows us to reflect on and learn from the past and to predict and plan for the future. As we grow older, our mind gets better and better at doing these tricks, conjuring up the past and the future, but unfortunately, this starts to create problems. As children, we can easily live in the present, but by adulthood, our mind is like an out of control time machine that constantly pulls us back into the past or forward into the future. As a result, we spend a lot of time in the past reliving old hurts, failures, rejections, and mistakes, or a lot of time in the future worrying about everything that could go wrong. And meanwhile, we're missing out on life in the present. It's hard to get any satisfaction or fulfillment from your life if you're not actually present to appreciate it. We want to connect. We want to engage. Engagement and connection is about being fully aware of your here and now experience, fully in touch with what is happening in this moment. In practicing engagement, we pull ourselves out of the past or the future and bring ourselves back to the present, right here, right now. So why do we want to do this? Well, 3 main reasons, really. Number 1, this is the only life you've got, so make the most of it, right? If you're only half present, you're missing out. As we talked about in the previous lesson, it's like watching your favorite movie with sunglasses on or listening to your favorite music while wearing earplugs. To truly appreciate the richness and fullness of life, you have to be here while it's happening. Reason number 2, to quote the great novelist Leo Tolstoy, there's only one time that is important. Now. It is the most important time because it is the only time when we have any power. To create a meaningful life, we need to take action, and the power to act exists only in this moment. The past has already happened and the future doesn't exist yet, so we can only even take action here and now. And reason number 3, taking action doesn't mean just taking any old action. It must be effective action. Action that helps you move in a valued direction. In order to act effectively, we need to be psychologically present. We need to be aware of what is happening, how we are reacting, and how we wish to respond. So, how do we engage more fully in our experiences? Well, we pay attention. We notice what is happening here and now. Paying attention is at the very core of mindfulness. Okay, but it's not just paying attention in any old way. Mindfulness means paying attention with openness, curiosity, and flexibility. Openness, curiosity, and flexibility. So let's break that down. Paying attention means we pay attention to what is happening in this moment, in both our inner world and the outside world around us. In other words, we notice what we're thinking and feeling, and also what we can see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. Openness means we're open to what is happening, even if we don't like it or approve of it, as opposed to turning away or closing off from our experiences. Curiosity, we are curious about what is happening. We actively seek to discover something new in our experience, something we may have missed or taken for granted, like an intrepid explorer or an enthusiastic scientist. We pay attention to the details, taking nothing for granted, interested in whatever we find. And flexibility. We're flexible in the way we pay attention. At times we may have a narrow focus, such as when we're absorbed in a task, like threading a needle or drilling a hole or hitting a golf ball. And at other times we have a broad focus, such as when we're exploring a new city and taking in all the novel sights, smells, and sounds. At times we may be more focused on the inner world of our thoughts and feelings, while at other times we may focus more on the external world. So we pay attention with flexibility. Now, a few years ago, I attended a talk by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who is one of the pioneers in mindfulness and meditation. And during the presentation, he told the audience he's going to show a short video clip of people passing around basketballs. Our task as the audience was to watch the video and count the number of passes made by people wearing white shirts. Count the number of passes made by people wearing white shirts while ignoring passes by people wearing black shirts. I've actually included the video below this one so you can try out the task right now for yourself if you like. So just pause this video and do it yourself. See what number you come up with when you watch the video. So it was a game, it was kind of game on for the audience, and we watched the video with intense focus on the white shirt players. It was a bit tricky to ignore the black shirted players as they weaved among their white shirted counterparts, sometimes even obscuring them. And after the video, Jon asked us to raise our hands if we had seen anything unusual, but not to say anything about what we had seen. A few hands went up, but most of us sat there wondering, what is he up to? He then instructed us to watch the video again without counting passes or paying attention to anything in particular. This time, halfway into the clip, there was a collective gasp from the audience as we noticed a person dressed in a gorilla suit enter the clip from the right, stand there amid the players, face the audience, beat his chest a few times, and then walk off screen. We were flabbergasted. How could we have missed something so obvious the first time? When in fact at least 50% of viewers don't see the gorilla on their first viewing. In a similar way, changing the way you pay attention with mindfulness and relate to your anxious feelings and thoughts can significantly change your picture and experience of social situations. Okay, so changing the way you pay attention with mindfulness and in the same way relate to your anxious feelings and thoughts can significantly change your picture and experience of social situations. So now I want to introduce you to mindfulness with a little help from a mindful eating exercise that was actually developed by Jon Kabat-Zinn. Now raisins are typically used for this exercise, but you can use any small food item you have on hand. Anything will work just as well as a raisin. So this exercise is called mindful eating. And you want to start by placing a raisin in the palm of your hand. Next, see if you can set your intention to bring in a non-judging attitude to your moment-to-moment awareness of the raisin. Okay, so come to it with a non-judging attitude. Whenever you lose sight of that intention during the exercise, see if you can recommit to paying mindful attention to the raisin. Now focus on seeing the raisin as if you've never seen it before. Use your scientist mind. Notice the shape, the size, and color of the raisin. Turn it around in your fingers. Notice the folds and where the surface reflects the light. Bring an attitude of curiosity to seeing all aspects of the raisin. Whenever you notice thoughts about the raisin, such as, it's so wrinkly, or I wish I had a bigger one, or you notice yourself thinking about anything other than the raisin, gently redirect your attention to seeing the raisin, allowing your experience to be exactly as it is in this moment. Next, focus on feeling the texture of the raisin between your fingers. Notice any softness, hardness, coarseness, smoothness, stickiness, or any other aspect of texture, simply being with your experience of feeling the raisin. Now holding the raisin below your nose, pay attention to smelling it, noticing the qualities of its aroma. Is it sweet, sour, musty? Is the aroma intense or faint? Or is there no scent at all? If you notice your mind judging the smell, like with thoughts of the sweetness is lovely or this is too sour, simply note the mind judging and return your focus to the pure sensation of smell. Now, taking the raisin to your ear and rolling it between your fingers, notice any sound the raisin makes. Notice any thoughts about doing this. If you're thinking, this is crazy, raisins don't make sounds, or wow, I can hear the raisin, redirect your attention to simply hearing the raisin. Now place the raisin in your mouth, perhaps noticing your mouth watering as you do so. Focus on the feel of the raisin in your mouth, exploring it with your tongue, noticing its shape, texture, and initial taste. Again, bring your beginner's mind to the feeling of the raisin in your mouth. Now, biting the raisin, notice any flavors that are released. Let go of any judgment, simply be with the taste of this raisin. As you slowly chew the raisin, pay attention to its changing consistency and the flow of saliva in your mouth. When you first notice the urge to swallow the raisin, stay with the urge for a few moments, noticing the location and intensity of the urge, allowing it to be there as it is. Now intentionally swallow the raisin, noticing any sensations as it passes down your throat and into your stomach. Okay, great work. So you can repeat this exercise with another raisin or try contrasting the experience of mindful eating with how you would normally eat one or more raisins. Okay, so we're going to debrief this exercise a bit. Like any mindful act or act of mindfulness, there's 3 parts to this exercise that we covered. And part 1 was paying attention with purpose or on purpose. Mindful attention is deliberate. At the beginning of the exercise, I asked you to set your intention to mindfully eat a raisin. What was your experience of that intention? Did you lose sight of it at any time during the course of the exercise? The tendency to lose sight of the intention to be mindful is very common, so don't worry if that happened to you. With practice, your ability to stay intentionally focused will get stronger and stronger, and we'll practice together throughout this module to help you do that. The second major part of this exercise was about paying attention in the present moment. Mindful attention is firmly rooted in the present, in the unfolding of your direct experience from moment to moment. For how much of the experience were you able to stay present with your raisin? How often did your mind wander to thoughts about the raisin, to thoughts about other things? What was your experience of the raisin when you were able to stay present with it? Some of my clients have commented that this exercise gave them the opportunity to really know raisins, how they look, feel, smell, sound, and taste, something that previously they had taken for granted. In the same light, staying present to your direct experience of social situations can give you opportunities to really know them and to base your opinions and actions on that knowledge, not on what your mind tells you about the situation. There's a big difference there. So for example, once Sam had gotten some practice under her belt at staying present during conversations instead of listening to what her mind was saying, she found that she rarely lost track of what others were saying, and she enjoyed conversations much more as a result. The third aspect to this exercise, or any mindful act, is paying attention non-judgmentally with acceptance. Paying attention non-judgmentally with acceptance. With mindful attention, we bring a non-judging, open attitude to our experience. This is acceptance, what we talked about in the previous module. Opening up to and allowing your experience to be exactly as it is without trying to avoid it, escape it, or change it. So how did you do with remaining open to your experience of eating the raisin? Was it difficult to let go of judgments and resistance and simply let your experience be in the moment? If you were able to do that even for only a few seconds, what was it like? Was it perhaps liberating to gain some distance and freedom from your judging mind? Sometimes I find it helps to think of acceptance as willingness. You can kind of use the two words interchangeably. Acceptance, willingness. Imagine that a friend asks you to take care of his dog, a mastiff named Thor that weighs 200 pounds. Thor wants to play and brings you his rope toy. Okay, he brings you this rope for a game of tug of war. You pick up one end of the rope with both hands, and Thor has the other end in a death grip in his powerful jaws. As he pulls, Thor is growling and has that crazed look in his eyes that signals his intention to hang on indefinitely. Each time you pull, Thor pulls back even harder. He won't let go, and you're stuck there using your entire body to keep from being pulled over. Similar to the way your struggle with anxious thoughts and feelings can consume much of your time and energy. However, if you drop the rope, you are free to do whatever you want. Thor is still there and may try to get you to pick up the rope again to continue the game, but it's your choice whether or not you do that. In a similar light, when you drop the rope in your struggle with anxious thoughts and feelings, when you are willing to have your experience as it is, you are freed up to live the life you really want. And just because you are willing to have the anxiety doesn't mean you want it. It just means you're willing to let go of the struggle with it. Alright, just because you're willing to have the anxiety doesn't mean you want it. It just means you're willing to let go of the struggle with it. Alright, so you're doing wonderful work. Let's keep going. In the next lesson, we're going to continue practicing as I teach you some simple exercises you can bring into your daily routine. So I'll see you in the next video.